One of our top stories now, the MK party is following through on its commitment to try and interdict the first sitting of Parliament scheduled for Friday. The party has now filed an application with the Constitutional Court that happened just a short while ago, and this is over its dissatisfaction with the election results. Let's unpack these various permutations with our contributing politics editor. Vuyo Mvoko joins us here in studio. Vuyo, there's a lot going on. It appears to be, I want to say MK against MK, but let's begin with the first issue. The issue of trying to interdict the first sitting of Parliament. I've got the court papers here in front of me.
Yes,
and what MK is wanting is to interdict the first and second respondents. So that's the Chief Justice and the Secretary to Parliament.
Yes.
To stop them from convening this first sitting. But on what basis? Is it on the basis of the fact that its electoral results dispute is unresolved, according to MK?
Yes, according to MK, they gave an indication a few days ago that they were indeed going to file. Remember, they gave Parliament, I think, until Sunday at 10 a.m. to respond to asking them to not go ahead and organize this sitting, failing which they would go to court. Parliament, of course, did respond to them saying, look, we are constitutionally obligated to hold the first sitting of newly elected members of the National Assembly within 14 days. And we beg to differ with you on your interpretation of whether we can actually go ahead. It was part of the argument, which is in these papers, is that according to them, Parliament won't cooperate. Now, we did have the head of the legal Department of Parliament the other day, who of course laid it all out, saying it's a complete misreading of the law, and she did of course state their own arguments, but also adding that they would of course challenge this if indeed the MK party delivers on its threat or promise, which of course is what has happened today. So the MK party is saying, we're asking you to halt the Friday's proceedings until our matter is actually heard. In other words, postpone the sitting. But then it goes further to then raise the arguments I'm saying it has been raising in the letter that it sent to Parliament last week.
So yeah, I've got that core rating issue here in front of me. Just from some context for our viewers, MK Party has 59 seats in the National Assembly.
Out of 400.
Out of 400. And it's arguing that the National Assembly will not be properly constituted unless in its first sitting it consists of no less than 350 members of the 400. So obviously if there are 59 members missing, that brings us to what? 341.
Now, the lawyer, I'm not going to get into that argument, but perhaps, we'll find this sound. But what she did, the Parliament's legal advisor tried to explain that this was a complete misreading of the Constitution or the sections of the Constitution as they stand. But I'll leave that to the lawyer. But Parliament feels that it is on firm ground. The arguments that are being raised, or the basis on which the MK party is arguing Parliament won't be properly constituted, doesn't at all apply, certainly not in the circumstances that we are talking about here, which is Friday's sitting of the National Assembly. I'll leave that to the lawyers for now.
All right. So the other issue here, obviously, is around the election results and the MK party's dispute over the results. When the former president was at the Results Operations Center and, the MK party spokesperson and various other people who spoke on behalf of the party, they had a feeling, they said, they had a sense that they had done much better than they had in these election results. In fact, one spokesperson from the MK party said something to the effect of, everyone's saying we've done so incredibly well, but we think we have done better.
Even better.
Yeah. So that case over the election results, where is that now? Where is that dispute at now?
See, this is the question that is being raised by a lot of people, that you haven't had an opportunity to deal with those issues, in fact, to determine whether indeed that is the case. But you're now interdicting Parliament from going ahead. But of course, they are arguing that I mean, we are an aggrieved party, and they feel that the IEC has not adequately addressed or given them satisfactory answers to numerous questions that they have and which they believe are fundamental to answering the question of whether the election was indeed free and fair. They say the body of evidence that they have collated has never been looked into by the IEC. Kind of, they have been dismissed. And I remember on the Saturday, well, it was on the Friday before the declaration of results on Sunday, the 2nd, they said that their party agents, you know, and numerous other people have actually come forward with very real, tangible evidence. And they did have a meeting as well with the chief electoral officer on the Friday, who politely, they said, effectively dismissed, though, their grievances, pretended they were attending to the issues that they were raising, but really not.
Yeah. You know. Parliament, just for the record, Vuyo, has also moved to, given that the MK party has said it will not be attending the first sitting, moved to cancel all flights and accommodation. I mean, at this stage, it'll be hard for them to change their minds, right?
It will be, and it doesn't look like they will, because I mean, if this will have, this is now has, I mean, the court has to decide on whether and when to hear this matter. It doesn't look like they are backing off at all. So, but then you do have Mr. Jabulani Khumalo and a few people who are on his side who want to be sworn in.
Right.
Who say they who have actually informed Parliament that they will be present on Friday, and they do want to be sworn in. In other words, they don't want to be denied their right.
But he has been fired from the party, has he?
Well, yeah, but an issue that also still hasn't been finalized, and this matter he has filed today, right? And his case will be heard on Thursday. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes over. It's a bit messy. It's
a bit messy, to say the least. What are we reading into this, for you? Insofar as the MK parties, I mean, it's arrived on the scene, it's caused quite an upset in election results. KwaZulu-Natal is now almost 50%, quite close to 50%, the MK party. And now there are all of these various court applications, various attempts at interdicting. What are we making of all of this?
Well, there's a lot you can actually, I mean, we can speculate. But first of all, I mean, in setting up, especially political structures, you have to have a constitution. People have to agree as to how this entity is going to be run, by who, under what rules, and so on. Because I think that's where things have gone wrong fundamentally, because in essence, you have Mr. Khumalo saying that the party is not being run properly, suggesting, although not coming out quite clearly as to whether that's what he actually says. Former President Jacob Zuma runs the show, right? And you have his family members of his and close associates essentially running roughshod over interests of the party and those of others who belong to that party. And he doesn't seem to be taking a lot of issues with him, or to be having an issue with him leading the party. And of course, I mean, that wouldn't make sense, because, I mean, if you take, I mean, politically, the MK party is nothing without Jacob Zuma. Jacob Zuma is the MK party is Jacob Zuma. But however, that doesn't mean that Jacob Zuma has to run roughshod of the interests of the other members of the party. That doesn't mean, as it has been alleged, that he should have, or she should impose, members of his family or close associates, or give them, key positions, while other people feel that different people should assume those roles. It's messy, but I think fundamentally there were no rules of engagement to begin with. You will recall that even the manifesto of the MK party was only unveiled literally just over a week before the election. So they went about doing things differently, you know, from how you would normally do things. But then you perhaps understand, because the rush was about, you know, seizing an opportunity that clearly existed, because when you look at their performance, their electoral performance, you're like, wow, who would have thought that they could pull? It's nothing short of a miracle. Of course, they will tell you that they worked hard, but an opportunity clearly existed, and they seized that opportunity. That's why, I mean, the ANC is in trouble, the EFF is in trouble, the IFP is in trouble because of this MK party. They have to form a government was their lead party in KwaZulu-Natal, but no one knows where the conversations are. All sorts of confusing messages have been sent. On the one hand, they say they're talking to the ANC, and then at the same time, they say, we're not talking to the ANC of Cyril Ramaphosa. What exactly does that mean? And with 2 days to go, you know, before all these processes have to be wrapped up, because, you know, the National Assembly has to be constituted, provincial legislature has to be constituted. It's all confusing, and it has really messed things up for a lot of people.
I dare say we've not had this much of an interesting 2 weeks or 14 days since the declaration of any national result, as we're seeing now in 2024. Vuyo Mvoko, let me thank you for coming in, our contributing politics editor. Now, still ahead for you, Rand Water is set to perform extensive maintenance of its system. We'll take a look at what this means for residents in Johannesburg with Makanosi Maru.